The Auburn Tigers make history, advancing to the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019, defeating the Creighton Blue Jays 82-70. Let's talk about it on this live edition of the Uptempo podcast. Yes, sir. Good morning, Auburn family. Good morning, Uptempo gang. We're back, baby. Dustin Smith and Blake Lane, live edition of the Uptempo podcast. And this is going to be a fun one. Our Auburn Tigers knock off the Creighton Blue Jays 82-70 in the second round of the NCAA Tournament. We will face Michigan next week in the Sweet 16, close to home in Atlanta, taking on a familiar face in Trey Donaldson, who is now at the Michigan Wolverines. But Blake, we got what we asked for. We came on the show last time and said, hey, if the Tigers play like that, it'll be their last basketball game, talking about how they played against Alabama State. Yep. Then Bruce Pearl took to the podium and he said, hey, if we play like that, it's going to be our last game if we play like that versus Creighton. Dylan Caldwell echoed it. It seemed to be pretty unanimous around the Auburn fan base, around the actual players and coaches on the team. It's got to be better. And they came out yesterday, man, completely engaged, getting a massive 82-70 win. Blake, your opening thoughts on what is a historic win. I mean, you only make it to the Sweet 16 so many times, and so this is one of the biggest wins in program history, man.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is, everybody on the last show that said we were being negative, we weren't being negative. We were just telling the truth, right? And I feel like that's what we're about here is we're going to hit it. We're going to hit it with you straight. Like, we're going to be straight up with you. We're not going to sunshine pump and tell you what you want to hear. All right. I felt like the energy was awful against Alabama State. And the way you showed up last night was pure electric. I felt like these guys responded to what Stephen Pearl had to say in the post game. I felt like these guys responded to Dylan Caldwell telling Andy, hey, it just wasn't there. It was embarrassing. We have to be better because this is our last go. This is it. If we would have brought the energy that we did against Alabama State to Creighton last night, we would have lost. But this team did not do that. They responded. They're a bunch of old heads, as Doug McDermott would say. They responded last night. They come out attacking. A lot of energy, great defense. They looked like they wanted to be there. I was super impressed. It just looked like a complete 180 of this basketball team. And that's the team that we've seen all year, right? That's the team we've seen all year. And even though we were down at half, we were down 2. Creighton hit 9 threes in the first half. Oh, Colt Brenner, whatever his name is, big 7-footer, he shoots the one off glass and all that. And I was like, oh, boy, it's going to be one of those nights, right? Down 2 at half. Chaney Broom only 4 points at half. They hit 9 threes. Some people are in panic mode. They're like, oh, man, Creighton. Let me tell you something. They weren't going to shoot that all night, all right? That 65% wasn't happening all night. Because Creighton only runs about 7 to 8 guys out there, and legs fade. Auburn can run 10 out there, and they're subbing, and they're staying fresh. Legs fade, man. And the defense of Denver Jones and Miles Kelly, Chaney Johnson stepping up last night, it was electric. This team was different. Biggest thing for me is how this team rebounded. That was the one thing that scared me was Creighton could get nasty on the boards with Auburn, and it could be trouble. But this team, Dylan Caldwell, played the best game of his Auburn career last night. Played the best game of his Auburn career. Chaney Broom might not have done it offensively with just 8 points, but boy, he sure did it on the glass. He did it on the glass. He did it on defense. Had a couple big rejections down there. He had a couple times where he moved Kalkbrenner away from the basket, made Kalkbrenner take a tough shot. You might not fill it up offensively, but Chaney did it last night. He did it on the defensive end. Auburn stayed out of foul trouble. You stayed out of foul trouble. You did your job. That was another main concern that we were looking at. And you shot 71% from the free throw strike. That's a big uptick from 56%. Janai, I need you to get back to hitting free throws, dog. They're free for a reason. Get back to making them, because we're gonna need Janai Broome down the stretch to hit clutch, big time free throws. But my last thing I'll say here is CBM kept his cool, going to the rim, drawing contact, not settling for the three ball, knowing that Creighton could not stop you. They couldn't. They couldn't guard Auburn, especially for 40 minutes. You had mismatches all over the floor. CBM getting to the rim, buckets. Denver Jones getting to the rim. That's the deuce that we want to see. Okay. Yes, he can shoot the three ball, but when Denver Jones drives and gets to the rim, great things happen. And he finished last night. Watching Auburn finish Creighton with a 6'4" guard, driving the lane, attacking the rim, and drawing an and one was a thing of beauty, y'all. It was a thing of beauty, because we haven't had that in years past. And then Denver hitting the little night. Doubt us, because a lot of people were. A lot of people were saying that Creighton was going to move on, and that the number 1 overall seed had lost 3 out of 4 and all this crap. Remember what I told y'all. Losing some of them games were a good thing. I know y'all disagreed with me, and y'all said that you didn't have to lose and you didn't need to face adversity with losing. But I'm telling you, it turned this team back to reality and realizing, hey, we were being a little cocky down that stretch. We were doing some things that were uncharacteristic of this program. We might have been showboating a little bit. And then the close game with Alabama State. And we said in the last episode, hey, it actually might be a good thing that it was kind of close. It might be something that fires this team up. And look at Stephen Pearl, uses it as bulletin board material. And he says, hey, we can't play like this the rest of the tournament. Now you got Michigan. You know there's going to be a little juice with this one, with Trey. Yeah, for sure. Even CBM, he said, we got Michigan. We play Trey. You know, it's in Atlanta. This is everything you asked for. It's going to be a home game. All right. So for all the Lexington people, all right, all the Louisville and Lexington, since y'all love to run that, now you get Michigan in Atlanta. It's going to be a home game. How cool is that? Sweet 16. Great stuff, man. I'm so proud of these guys. And, you know, one thing that really got me last night was before the tip, CBM was kind of emotional. And they know, man. They know, like, next Friday could be their last time playing. Last night could have been their last time together. That's it. It's over. You'll never play with those guys again. And so it is emotional because you don't want your season to end. And they didn't. Like, they come out, they played hard, they played physical, they played great defense. The switches were amazing. There was communication all night. It was just great stuff from the Auburn Tigers, Dustin.
Yeah. You know, I want to go back to that and one, Blake, from Denver. I thought that it was 2 of the points that me and you have made for a long time coming together in one. Since we've been doing this podcast together, you've been saying Auburn's not going to win in March. until they
Yep.
get guards that are over 6'2" and can make a
Yep.
big bucket.
Yep.
And we've seen that. We've seen Auburn get bullied out of the last couple tournaments because the guards just weren't big enough. And then what have I said all year about Denver Jones? Love the fact that you can shoot the three ball. Get downhill some, man. Get downhill some. Work inside out. And I just thought it was cool to kind of see both of what we've been screaming come together right there, all in one play. That was just such a big bucket. And yeah, make no mistake about it. The point that you've made for 2 or 3 years now about size in March, guard play, winning in March was fully on display last night. Janai Broom goes 4 for 13, but he was very efficient on the defensive end, especially in the second half. Chips in with double-digit rebounds, so he gives you what he needs to give you. And you have a freshman point guard come off the bench and give you 23, and then he has 6 rebounds. And I love hearing Bruce say something in a press conference and then watching it take place in a game. I remember Bruce a couple weeks ago saying that Tahaad needs to learn that he can get rebounds using his speed and quickness. He's obviously not going to box anybody out and get up over them,
Yeah.
but there's different ways that he can get to these rebounds, and he's starting to kind of figure that out and do that. So him chipping in with 6 boards was massive. We were worried about him coming into the tournament after going 0 for 8. He says no worries. He goes 5 for 9 the first game, has the game of his life yesterday. Chaney Johnson, a guy that we were worried about coming into the tournament, he's not playing well. All of a sudden, he gets it going. Chad Baker-Mazara gets thrown out of the Yale game last year and then has one of his worst games in a long time as an Auburn Tiger in the first game of this tournament. So he was 0 for 2, basically, as far as his performances went in the tournament as an Auburn Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
He steps up yesterday after getting called out. Like, a coach has got to be pretty pissed off, especially in college and even in the pros, to call players out by name. So Stephen Pearl was pretty pissed. He said that the energy from our 2 best players in Chad Baker-Mazara and Janiyah Broome was not there after the Alabama State game. He said it wasn't there. And I think they both responded in a great way, especially Chad Baker-Mazara. And, I didn't know how he was going to respond. In all fairness, I didn't know if he was going to just kind of go in a shell and pout a little bit. No, he came out and he was an absolute dog. And even though Miles Kelly only had 5 points, that's the team we've seen from Auburn in the first 2 months mentally. The first 2 months of the season, that Auburn team that, hey, one game this guy might be the guy, and that first game Miles Kelly was the guy. Offensively, he was filling it up from 3. And he could have this game was in Rupp too, right? So he could have been in his head like, hey, I'm in Rupp. And when I'm in Rupp, I'm pulling. But realize early, it's not my night. I'm not that guy. But what does he do? He was locked down defensively on the perimeter in the second half. Locked down. And it was so funny listening to the announcers where they said, well, Auburn's got to kind of watch the second half because in the first half, Creighton lit up Louisville in the first round from deep, and then when Louisville tried to adjust, they went inside. Well, here's the difference between Auburn and Louisville. We got Janiyah Broome inside. We've got Dylan Caldwell inside. We've got Chaney Johnson inside. We've got athletic bigs that can come up a little bit, deny you on that ball screen, because that's all they were doing, was screening up top of the key, getting their shooters to shoot. Which, like, if you're Creighton, why wouldn't you do that? You're not going to beat Auburn athletically, and you're not going to beat Auburn down low. And Bruce said it in his whenever they did a little interview where he talked about the girl's dress in the middle of the game. He said I got to get my bigs to press up a little bit. And the thinking there is let me get my bigs up to deny that ball screen to make it a little bit tougher so they're not getting that look. And if they do happen to get by us, Janai, Chaney, or Dylan is athletic enough to get back, and you saw it. You saw Dylan get back and send some off the glass and do his thing defensively. I thought Dylan was plus 24. He led everybody in plus minus yesterday. Blake, he was plus 24 in a game that we won by 12. So his impact all over the floor, his impact from that, like, that's a senior leader. I think the best thing that was said after that Alabama State game was Dylan said, I don't want to be 50 years old sitting on my front porch one day wondering, how did I win all those games at Auburn and never get out the first round of the tournament?
Yep.
And I think that resonated with the entire group, man. You can't get the number 1 overall seed and not show up and not show out. And, man, if they keep playing this way, then this team's going to make a run. Creighton's a really good ball team, man, and we're gonna be in these games the rest of the way where it's gonna be tight. Shout out to making the free throws when you had to make them yesterday.
Yeah.
And it just whenever Auburn had to make those plays, man, Auburn did it. Creighton tried to kind of do. I saw at one point, I think I saw him like a 1-3-1. I don't know a lot about Creighton, but you don't see a whole lot of 1-3-1. And Alabama State did some 1-3-1 that put us in trouble. So I think maybe Creighton did some scouting where they said, let's kind of do what Alabama State did to see if we could put Auburn in trouble. But Auburn adjusted to it well, man. And we're running some new plays. We've got some new plays that we're running in the half court sets that I haven't seen us run all year. So I'm just really excited about this performance, man, where this team is going. And this is why you go out. Everyone, I get it, man. I get it. It's good for Twitter jokes to say, oh, this guy's 24 years old. Put the fries in the bag, man. Put the fries in. Okay, cool. Like, first off, I don't ever get any of this trolling stuff, and maybe I'm just too old. Doesn't make sense to me. But I'm always looking at that like, okay, well, I mean, the guy is a D1 athlete. Were you? It's like whenever somebody will get a 3-star. Say Alabama gets a 3-star. We'll say Auburn gets a 3-star. And then the Alabama fans are like, oh, 3-star cornerback. And it's like, well, were you ever ranked? You know what I mean? Like, were you ever ranked a 3-star as an athlete? Shut the hell up. So all that stuff I don't understand, man. We've seen Auburn get knocked out by veteran team like that Miami team a couple of years ago with Jabari and Walker. Like, this is why you have a veteran group for these moments. Lost 3 or 4 coming into the tournament. Yeah, you won by 20 in the first round, but everyone acted like they were disappointed. Coaches, players, everybody, and they showed up and responded. And the rebounding the last 2 games, we all talked about the effort on the glass to end the regular season, the effort on the glass versus Tennessee in the SEC tournament game. It's been there. It's been there. Yeah. And when Auburn plays defense like that, and even some of those threes that Creighton hit, you just tip your cap. It's like, okay, I mean, I talked to my dad at halftime, and I said, Dad, I don't know if they're going to do that for another 20 minutes. If Auburn does what we can do defensively, I don't know if they keep hitting those shots for 20 more minutes. That's tough to do. Creighton, with all due respect to their program, they've built it the best way they can, but this is a super one-dimensional system they've got. It's super one-dimensional. And if you press up a little bit and you give up a couple buckets inside if they beat you a couple times, you trade that for them hitting a whole bunch of threes on top of your head. So just shout out to the man, everybody, the coaches, the players, and the in-game adjustments, the adjustments that you made in a couple of days mentally after the Alabama State game, because we've seen this a lot, Blake, with Auburn sports. In any sport, you see teams that fade. Like, man, you just don't have it. Or things start going bad and the group start pointing fingers and nope. They picked themselves up and said, we're not going out like that. We're going to come out and send a message. And boy, they were, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but at halftime, I thought that halftime crew was pretty excited that Creighton was up. They were, oh boy, whoa, look at this. Auburn could be in trouble. Nah, bro. And we ain't done either. And we ain't done. We're just getting started.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, we can mute this clown.
Hold on. Did you say Broom responded? LOL, the way y'all sent for this clown is unreal. Rebel Yell, let's attack this real quick.
There's 2 sides of the court. There's offense and defense.
100%. He's not going to put 30 up on the stat sheet every night, okay? He's just not. Nobody in basketball is going to do that. And everybody kept saying that Creighton had the mismatch inside, and old boy was going to dominate the glass, and he was going to dominate Auburn's bigs. That's what we kept hearing. I can't remember. It was one of the March Madness crews, and I think it was Seth Davis's crew. He said this is going to be a real problem for Auburn. This is a bad matchup. And he was like, and I don't know if Auburn comes out of this alive. And what Janai Broom did on the defensive end and on the glass last night is responding. I know he only had 8 points. And we need him to be better offensively. Because some of those shots, Janai was just turning around and chunking. Like there was no move there or anything like that. The old boy made it difficult for him. He made Janai move away from the rim. All right. But what Janai did on the defensive end is what we're talking about. And don't get it twisted. Simping for the National Player of the Year, Okay, Rebel Yell. I guess you're an Ole Miss guy with the Rebel or whatever. Worry about your game today. All right. Worry about Iowa State. I think that's who they play, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so.
but one thing I did want to say is Tahaad, Dustin. You know, I said way back early this year, if Auburn wants to be great, if Auburn wants to win a national title, it's because of Tahaad Pettiford.
Mhm.
We know Miles Kelly. We know Denver Jones. But when Tahaad comes off that bench, he's got to produce. He didn't produce against Tennessee. He hadn't produced in that losing streak, right? He had some tough runs, some tough games. But he told us, he said, don't worry about me in March Madness. I'm going to be fine. That step back, lethal. The floater, boy, you made a great point on the reaction show last night. It hadn't been falling lately, but he saw the first one go and he kept going back to it. Creighton tried something last night, y'all. They tried when they got down, I think it was a 9 point game, 7 point game. They tried to trap Tahaad at the timeline. Brutal mistake.
Yeah.
Awful mistake. And when they tried to trap him, he split the double team and it was game over. It was lights out right there. That is what Auburn has been missing for years. Zep Jasper doesn't split that double team. Wendell Green does not split that double team. They get trapped. They either have to call a timeout and they turn the ball over, something like that. That is what we got accustomed to seeing for years with Auburn basketball. Not a knock to those players. It's just Tahaad is an elite ball handler. And he's a shot maker. He's a creator. You have to have a guy like him in March Madness. Because if you don't, you're gonna hit an early exit. Tahaad was special last night. Like you said, Miles Kelly was off. Realized it wasn't his night, but he made up for it on the defensive end. Completely different team, man. Just night and day different team from Alabama State. I'm proud of these dudes for what they did coming out with their hair on fire, man. Like seeing that right out the gate, you could tell, hey, Auburn's here to play. Like they're here, bro. Like this is the team that we saw in Maui. This is the energy that we saw in Maui. This is the energy that we saw when they ran through the SEC. It was fun to watch last night. I know everybody was nervous about New Balance University hitting all them threes. They got some real shooters out there, boy. Some real shooters. But like we said, legs fade. Game gets tight. Freshman in the big moment. Let's see if he can hit a shot. And he couldn't in the second half. It's a freshman in March Madness. All right. What do we always say, Dustin? Youth in March Madness doesn't win. Age in March Madness wins. So all the Auburn's 30 years old. No, you're just mad. You're just mad because Auburn took a bunch of 2 and 3 stars, guys that went to Morehead State and FIU, and they got them to transfer in, and they developed their game even more. And now they're all developed 5 stars that have some years on the tires. And you're mad about it because they're winning. So they're moving on to the Sweet 16 to play Michigan, a former Auburn Tiger in Trey Donaldson, which kind of hurts because, boy, you feel like if he was still on this team, I mean, how special would it have been? Yeah, right, Brett.
Yeah.
Chaney Johnson, bro. Like, dude was playing D2 basketball. And, you're just mad because he come to Auburn and developed. That's it. But, I don't think it couldn't have worked out better, in my opinion. And all these people, Dustin, they complained about the bracket and the draw, and Auburn got hosed and yada yada. Guys, you got to play tough games in the bracket. Everybody has to. Florida's got to play freaking UConn, back-to-back national champions here in an hour and a half.
It's tough. That's tough. Round 2, they got UConn.
Round 2, you got the back-to-back champs.
Yeah.
And I know they're not as good as they were the previous 2 years, but they're still damn good.
It's tough.
And you're sitting like, you got to play difficult games in March. Nobody has an easy route. Not one team in this bracket has an easy cakewalk. It's going to be difficult for everybody. You might think Alabama's got an easy game today. Guess what? St. Mary's, they're going to give them everything they got. Robert Morris gave Alabama everything they got. St. Mary's is going to slow Alabama down. And they're going to control the clock. They're going to run that shot clock so far down. They're going to try to take Alabama out of their element, and they're going to make it difficult. I'm not saying St. Mary's is going to beat them, but they're going to make it difficult. Everybody's got tough games, man. But avoiding Texas A&M in the Sweet 16, I like it, y'all. I'm just saying I like it. I wanted Michigan to win that game last night so bad just because of Buzz Williams always having Bruce's number. They're also a veteran team. They're also a bad matchup for us on the boards and rebounding the basketball. They know what we like to do. They're very familiar with it. I just wanted to see Michigan in the Sweet 16, and we got that. So I'm proud of this basketball team, Dustin.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't want to see Texas A&M, and Trey was one of my favorite players at Auburn. I just love his game, and to see him continue to develop and hit clutch shots, we've known for a long time that Trey Donaldson is a dog. So that's gonna be a fun matchup, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I want to get to some of these comments before I do. One stat, Blake, that really kind of stands out to me too is I'm looking at Auburn with only 7 total turnovers.
Yep.
And if you're Creighton, you were probably hoping to get that number up around 12 to 14 and get out in transition and hit some of them threes. But if you're Auburn, you only turn the ball over 7 times. You kind of limit these fast break opportunities. You limit the transition corner 3 that Creighton loves to do. So you kind of shut them down right there. See you guys in the chat, man. Very active. I want to thank my guy Fire Freeze for gifting 20 up-tempo podcast memberships, buddy. Hey, Fire Freeze feeling good after the big dub. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, man. And definitely going to have some member content that we're pumping out for you guys soon. I'm actually going to record something here as soon as we get done. I did want to say that Ronnie Millsap was right. Broom was terrible and has become a lot on this. I just wanted to say something to the Rebel Yell real quick, buddy. Ole Miss, you could possibly be a Bama fan. Here's the thing. Yeah. We don't know. We don't know because you're hiding behind a picture of a former president with a username of Rebel Yell. And my face is right here. And my name is right here across the screen. And you see my team. And you're hiding behind a computer screen. Shut your bitch ass up. Look, Michael Waltman says 4 more.
Another thing, all right. Look, I love the trolls. Hold on. Here we go. I love the trolling and everything. Grant Nelson missed 90%. Do you watch basketball? Yeah, that shows me that you're an Alabama fan. It doesn't matter if Grant Nelson missed 90% of the game. It doesn't. All right. The only reason he come in and played is because Robert Morris took the lead in that basketball game. And Nate Oates said, "Hey, can you play?" All right. And he said, "Yeah, I can play." And he said, "Okay, well, get your ass in there because we can't lose to a 15 seed. Because then the yell jokes become irrelevant." All right?
Fact.
Now, Grant did change the game, and yes, I posted when Alabama won that game. Grant Nelson won that game for Alabama. He did. All right? But they still had a couple of guys who were giving Alabama problems. I mean, that one kid, he was going off against Alabama. Now, you say Grant Nelson missed 90% of the game, so I guess Denver Jones sitting out against the Texas A&M game, that cancels that loss out, right?
Like it doesn't.
CBN, it cancels it out, right? It doesn't count. So, all the y'all lost the last 3 out of 4 games. Well, no, you can't say that now, Rebel Yell, because Denver Jones sat out against Texas A&M. So, do you even watch basketball, dog? Like, you know, Denver Jones didn't play, so we can't count the Texas A&M game as a loss. So, we've really only lost 4 games if we look at it the way you do. So, that's my point there. I just, like I always say, Dustin, I'm the type of guy that I just don't have the time and the energy to go watch somebody else's podcast
Crazy.
from another team. Like, I'm not gonna go sit down tonight at 8 o'clock when Alabama gets done and got a bag of popcorn, and I'm just sitting here going, yeah, man. Let me listen to this reaction show real quick. That's just not me. So, but hey, appreciate the comments and the trolling, Rebel Yell, and the activity on the channel, brother. We appreciate it. And I honestly can't wait to beat the ever living shit out of y'all in football this year in Jordan Hare Stadium, because it's coming. I know it's coming, and it's going to be fun.
I've listened to one. I will admit, I've listened to one Bama reaction show. That was after the Vanderbilt football game last year. I just had to go see. I just had to go see what was going on over there. I just wanted to know what reality looked like for some of those people. So Nina says, thank you at Fire Freeze for the membership. Yeah, man, 20 memberships, Fire Freeze. That's big time. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have stepped up and helped us out tremendously over the last year, help gifted memberships and all that. So we thank you big time. And so Nina, we hope you enjoy it. But we're going to get some of that content out for you guys soon. And I'll say this, kind of toot our own horn here for a second. I don't know a whole lot of podcasts out there that don't bring on other people and all this kind of stuff to cover like the multitude of different sports. Me and Blake are on the baseball, we're on the basketball, we're on the football pretty consistently. We follow all 3 very well, and I think we do a good job with it. So and so thank you guys for following along. And the membership, so Nina, is going to be all that. So if you're into the baseball, and I know you're a big basketball fan, I see you on all the Warport basketball streams and everything like that, and recruiting for football, all that kind of stuff. We do it all. So it's me and Blake, we work real hard here, and we're excited about it. And my guy Rodney yesterday, he was on the live stream. He said, "Where y'all been?" I said, "Rodney, we've been right here, baby. Come hang out with me tomorrow at 9 a.m." And I see, Rodney, where you said that you haven't been seeing the notification. So yeah, man, just make sure you check. We're still here every Tuesday night. We've kind of moved it around a little bit as basketball season goes, because sometimes obviously we have a basketball game tip off at 6 o'clock. Not going to go live in the middle of that. So there's been some movement around. But yeah, we still aim to have that 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m. show on Tuesday night. And if the notifications aren't showing up for you, it ain't just you. There's shows that I follow on YouTube where I'll be 5-6 days after I've already watched the show, and then my phone will buzz and I'll look at it, and YouTube's giving me the notification about it. So that's the thing, man. So just stay on the lookout. We're still here though, pumping out 2, 3, sometimes 4 episodes a week. And like I said, of all different sports. I mean, we've had a couple weeks ago where we did 4 shows on 3 different sports. So thank you for the super chat, Rodney. We appreciate you, big dog.
Yeah, Rodney, that's huge, man. Much love, and Rodney's from Bruton, right? Yeah. Just a small town guy, man, and showing love to the Up Tempo podcast. I love to see it, man. And you've been here from the jump, right? Like, I mean, he's been one of those guys that's been locked in with us, so we definitely appreciate it. Speaking of shows and jumping around and everything, y'all, last weekend I left game 3 of the Vanderbilt series after Cade Blue won it for us and everything, and I did the little post game, and went and talked to some of the guys about their performances and all that, and got out of there, as fast as possible, because I had to be at work at 4:30 in the morning the next day, and had to drive back to Mobile. But, I got home and I got settled in, and I went live at like 11:10 that night. And I should have been in bed, but I went live and talked about baseball, man, and had a couple people in here who were locked and loaded with the Up Tempo pod, and they wanted to talk about baseball and how big of a series that was, and how resilient the baseball team is. And we're going for a sweep today in Lexington, and I just feel like there's been all kind of good vibes in Lexington this weekend. And so we've moved on to the Sweet 16, and we've had to not only fight Kentucky's baseball team, but also fight. Excuse me. We've also had to fight the umps and the crews that have been on the calls for those baseball games. They have tried to give us the shaft, man, and we faced adversity and we overcome it, and we found a way to win 2 games in that series, and we're looking for a third here in just a minute. So just want to say appreciate y'all, man. Like, we really do. Like, y'all show up whenever we go live, and y'all are always here to talk about Auburn through the ups, through the downs, and we love it, man. Like, it me and Dustin talk about it all the time. Like, there's people who stay in here year round, and we love it, and then there's people here for football only, and I get that. Auburn's a football school. It'll never change. Even if we win a basketball national championship, Auburn will still be a football school. But we know the ones that are here locked in, man, and they're always contributing to this channel. And so we appreciate you. We love you. War Damn Eagle. It's sweet over here on this Sunday morning. It's sweet like sugar, right? Thank y'all, man, for real. Thank y'all.
Yeah. I echo everything Blake said. It means a lot to us. We work hard, and so for you guys to come in here and tap in with us, we really do appreciate it. C says, War Damn Eagle, Sweet 16 MF. Listen, let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
They had them tweets ready, Blake. They had them Facebook posts and all that. They had them ready to roll.
Did.
Is Auburn ever going to make it out of the first weekend? Yeah. I had a Louisville fan come at me earlier this week. They showed the Auburn players getting off the plane. I said, "Let's go, boys! Time to make history." Just a little simple little quote treat.
Yeah.
He said, "How y'all gonna do that by losing in the first round?" No, we're not Louisville, and you wouldn't have lost in the first round if you would have got my coach. But you can't get my coach. Get your money up.
Hey, it's conversation time about Bruce. It's conversation time. Y'all, where the hell would we be without Bruce? I can go ahead and tell you. You'd be 14-17, no NIT, no NCAA tournament, and you want to have a conversation about Bruce. Man, what in the hell are we talking about? But then when his name comes up for Louisville or Indiana, everybody starts panicking. Oh, my God, Bruce is going to leave. Bruce is going to leave. Y'all, come on, man. Like, we're good, man. We got Bruce Pearl, dog. This is the greatest that we've ever seen Auburn basketball. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to ourselves as a fan base? We're good, man. We're good, and it's a good feeling this Sunday. We can sit back and relax, and we can watch Florida have to play UConn. We can watch Alabama play St. Mary's. Go St. Mary's and go UConn. I'm sorry, I'm not one of those SEC homers where I want the conference to do great and everything. No, I want the conference to lose. All right, I want everybody to lose in this conference, but Auburn. So that's how I feel about it.
I'm with you on that most of the time. Lately, the Danny Cannells of the world have kind of turned me the other way. I still want Bama to lose. What you got? What's up?
No, he is super annoying.
Yeah, it's just some of that. It's like, well, no, let's be realistic now, especially with football. It's like, well, let's see what the draft says. If the NFL, if the GMs agree with you in the NFL that the SEC is overrated, then we'll see. But I just don't think it's going to work out that way. I'm going to breeze through some of these, and we're going to get out of here. We got 6 minutes till the baseball team fires it up. So early start today for the baseball team. Y'all get over to SEC Network Plus, watch that, support the boys. Bruce Pearl is all the data you need. Such a fantastic username. War Damn Eagle, if we get that team that we played last night for the rest of the tournament, we won't lose. I mean, you're definitely going to make a deep run, man. You're definitely going to make a deep run. Once you get to like that Final Four, Elite Eight range, and, you're playing teams that are just as good as you, and anything can happen in a tight ball game. But, yeah, Auburn's going to have an opportunity to win the national championship if they bring that level of execution and intensity night in and night out. For, like Michael said, we got 4 more to go. Let's try to get them. Maine says, shout out to CBM for taking over before the injury and Denver Jones being Denver. Yeah, man, CBM had to respond, right? He's strung together several lackluster performances in a row. We needed him. He's still like the second best player on this team.
For sure.
And Stephen Pearl, that's the thing. If you have a coach that always does stuff like that, then it can kind of fall on deaf ears. But that's the first time I've ever heard Stephen Pearl do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think they all kind of looked around in the locker room and said, "Oh man, I think he's telling the truth, and we don't want to be done here." And when you have a guy like Dylan Caldwell, who's been around and is a senior leader, and he didn't transfer in, right? He's been Auburn from the jump. When he speaks, people listen. So shout out to CBM for responding for sure. And this is a great point, man. Talking about Tahaad's defense is much improved. I talked about this on the reaction show with C-Dub last night. You've seen a lot late in the season in these tight games where Bruce has done the subbing in Tahaad on the offensive end and then subbing him out on the defensive end. And I don't know, maybe if because you didn't have CBM and Chris Moore last night, you kind of had to ride with Tahaad on some of that, but he did great. He did great. I thought it was Tahaad's best effort on the defensive end in a long time, maybe of the season. He was great. He wasn't a liability out there at all. He defended their guards well. Whatever was discussed strategically at halftime, which I know what it was, pretty much getting your bigs to bump up, like Bruce talked about in the post game. Everything that they talked about at halftime, adjustment wise, to shut down Creighton from that 3-point line and then still not give up easy buckets in the paint. Tahaad was a big part of that, being the guy that they're that's initially on the ball handler, or him and Denver switching off, doing that, taking that responsibility. So yes, shout out to Tahaad, man, because they asked him in the post game, "Were you tired?" Were you tired? He said, "I'm pretty tired from chasing those guys around all those screens all night." But yeah, he did a great job staying with them.
I'll tell you this: there was a play early in the second half with a Jemiah Neal. He called it out on the wing, and he had a direct path for an easy dunk. And Tahaad moved his feet. Tahaad realized he was going to get beat, and he fouled Jemiah Neal. He fouled him. I said, "Hey, that is a great foul. That is Tahaad. You foul him. Do not let him get an easy layup or an easy dunk." Tahaad he recovered, he got in position, and he just hip checked him. He said, "Hey, look, I gotta foul you, bro. Like I can't let you get this easy bucket. All right." And when I looked at that play, I was like, "Hey, he might have fouled, but I think that's a great foul. I think that is a solid foul because Jemiah Neal, if he goes in and he slams that home, that place might get a little electric. Creighton's feeling themselves a little bit. And it's things like that, man. Tahaad, he's small. He's going to give up size, but he's a competitor on defense, bro. And it's gotten better throughout the year. It's fun to watch. He's a special player, Dustin.
Yeah,
I hope he does not leave
for the NBA. One more.
I know, man. I know he does. I just hope he does not leave. But
his game needs one more. Like, I'm not saying as a selfish Auburn
fan. Yeah. For sure. And he's an undersized guard going to the NBA, which probably not going to do him any favors, like when the scouts look at him and all that. So, but yeah, we're about to get first pitch here in this Auburn game. So I'm about to.
I got you. Yeah, we'll breeze through here real quick and get out of here. John says, "Hey, thanks to whomever gifted the memberships. Didn't even realize the stream was on. Stay tuned, man. They're coming out for you this week." And I want to get this one in real quick. Smoke and Rail Production says, "I was at UAH when Chaney was there. I watched their games and was like, Chaney is way too good to be playing here." Well, we played him in a scrimmage before the season last year or the year before that, and Bruce agreed with you. Bruce said, "Yeah, I agree. I want this guy on my team." And the jump that Chaney has made from this year, or from last year to this year, and stepping up and having 2 back-to-back big games in the tournament, man, it's crucial. We were losing Jay Williams, and I was like, what are we going to do here at power forward? And Chaney has stepped up and filled that role off the bench wonderfully. So thank you guys for tapping in, man. We'll be back Tuesday afternoon, 6 p.m. Look, I know that some of you guys are saying you're not getting the notifications, so just stay on the lookout. We usually post it the day before and when we're going live and all that. So just check in on us. We'll be back live Tuesday night. We'll preview this Michigan game. Like Blake said, got a familiar face in Trey Donaldson, who was one of my favorite players. I hated to see him go. So it's going to be fun, baby. Our Auburn Tigers have advanced to the Sweet 16. We got a Sweet 16 matchup with a big program in Michigan in Atlanta, Georgia, 2 hours away from Auburn. It doesn't get no better than that, man. It doesn't get no better than that.
Fact.
Like Blake said, going up to Lexington and having a weekend, baseball team, back-to-back SEC series, getting the dubs to start off the conference play. Obviously, basketball doing big things. football spring practice right around the corner. We're going to have you guys covered on that. So stay locked in with the Up Tempo podcast, man. On your way out, hit that thumbs up button. Share this out on whatever social media platform you guys use. Thank you for the memberships and the group chats today, or for the super chats, excuse me. And for our members, like I said, we will have content coming out for you guys this week. About to hop on that as soon as I get out of here. So, War Damn Eagle, love y'all. We'll see y'all next time, man. We're out.
War damn, baby.